Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you my picks from the Lancôme limited edition Christmas holiday release, certainly that we've got here in the UK. I picked up an eye palette and a couple of nail polishes I guess about a fortnight ago, 10 days, a fortnight ago. I haven't used the nail polishes yet, but we'll be swatching them together on my nail wheel in a minute. And I have used 3 or 4 times this little eye palette, so I have a few thoughts about that. I should say at the outset, I haven't purchased much from Lancôme in recent years. It's just been a skin and makeup line that's kind of passed me by. I'm kind of aware of the advertisements for it, especially the perfumes, but there hasn't been anything that's kind of drawn me into the range, which I would regard as a kind of mid-priced range. It's not up there with the really high-priced designer ranges, but neither is it anything like a drugstore range. What has pulled me into buying these products and looking to buy a couple of others that I haven't actually managed in the last few months really has been Lisa Eldridge's involvement with the line. As I understand it, as their kind of creative director for the cosmetics branch. And I think she is said to be involved, or she says she's involved, I have no reason to disbelieve this, in the kind of development and selection of products, not just the kind of marketing face, which she undoubtedly was, so far as YouTube was concerned, certainly for Chanel for a number of years. And I certainly was an avid viewer of her Chanel makeup tutorials. I really miss her doing those, although I still enjoy the tutorials that they put out there by other people. And she's my favourite YouTube makeup guru. I would thoroughly recommend her videos on how to, and she has a YouTube channel and a website. Slightly disorganised actually, her website, I find, but you can, if you search around, find very practical tutorials where she uses relatively ordinary looking people to apply makeup, for example, to more mature skin, people with hooded eyes, those sorts of things, as well as the much more glamour model makeup she does, and makeups on herself, which might as well be on a model because she is very good looking. Anyway, I digress. Big fan Lisa Eldridge. And there have been some really cute limited edition palettes coming out. Certainly since spring I was aware of one that I wanted, but I just never found anywhere. It was sold out on the Lancôme website by the time I heard of it. Never managed to see it. Anyway, she's got a tutorial out using this palette, which looked really promising. I'll try and link that below, but if I don't, you can easily Google it. So I went looking and found it at Selfridges. Now, what do well, let's have a look at it first of all. It's £40, so it's not a cheapo by any manner of means. It's actually well beyond the kind of mid-priced range that I just talked about before. It's a really, really pretty, glittery, seasonal square palette. This glitter is a kind of material on a reasonably substantial metal frame with the pink ribbon. So far so good, really beautifully displayed. It's a reasonably heavy, not too heavy, but substantial quality compact with 6 little shadows. You can see I haven't used the brush, still in its cellophane, but it's quite a nice little brush, not one of those foam horrors, which I regret to say even Chanel is putting out these days. So again, so far so good. And the sort of shades that really appeal to me and looked really good in her application. Now, having used it, I have to say I'm somewhat disappointed. First of all, there's quite a limited range in this palette. This cream down here, which feels very nice, is a nice typical off-white matte, but you'd only really be using that for, say, concealing darks in the inner corners, maybe a bit under the eyebrow, whatever. The other shades are all what I would describe as satins or lustres. They're not glitter particles, but they're not matte. That doesn't bother me because I like those sorts of shades. And they feel quite nice. That one's a bit dry. That one's very dry. That one's okay. I'll come to the dark one in a minute. But they're not enormously pigmented. That's not usually a huge problem for me. And you can see the brown there is coming off quite well. The coppery tone's coming off quite well. This one here, very powdery. This one here, very powdery. And they feel like that when you're dipping your finger in. So it's less the kind of muted pigment, which I actually find often quite good to work with. Rather the fact that as you're applying them to the eye, I needed to keep dipping my brush in. They were a bit kind of slightly flaky, crumbly, rather than creamy. Really interesting to compare these with, for example, the recent Victoria Beckham for Estee Lauder. No comparison in not only the pigment, and they're all satins as well, but the smoothness, the creaminess, the jelly-likeness of it almost, which makes for much, much easier application. Particularly, I have to say, if you've got older, crepier lids, when the last thing you need is kind of powderiness as you're dabbing on the product. I should finish with the fairly pigmented brown there as well. The other thing I find is, although it's not that obvious there, well, you can barely see this one down here, but these two, almost indistinguishable on the eyelid. They are looking slightly different in the swatches. That one's obviously looking a lot more coppery. What I would say about the quality of these eyeshadows is they're much more akin to MAC than a Tom Ford or Victoria Beckham for Estee Lauder or a Chanel. And even the colours, I was looking at my kind of MAC palette and thinking that this one here was looking a lot like Honey Lust there, and very similar consistency. I like MAC shadows, you know, they're fine. This one down here looking a lot like, Floof, I think. Actually, Floof is somewhat stronger than this one down here. But if I was advising you what the quality was like, it's not bad quality by any manner of means, but it's much more akin to a MAC shadow. Now, I suppose that's still not bad value. I haven't kind of compared the quality, the quantity comparisons, but you're getting 6 shadows here for £40. And these MAC refills, I think, are about £10 each. If you buy them in the pot, they're more expensive. I suspect you're getting a bit more product. So if you look at it on that basis, they're still a good deal, and it's a pretty selection. But I guess I was disappointed because it was Lisa Eldridge, if I'm honest, and I expected the quality to be much more in the Chanel Tom Ford range, which was perhaps my unreasonable expectations. It's a nice little usable palette. I haven't succeeded in getting from it anything other than kind of everyday looks rather than the much more glamorous evening look she displays in her tutorial, but that may be down to my lack of skill. Now, I also got 2 of the nail polishes. There are 4 nail polishes. 2 of them very, very similar, this one and another one, virtually indistinguishable. They were on display all together, and I thought they came in a kind of limited edition box, but no, you in fact have to buy them each separately, and they're £13.50. I just haven't had the opportunity to wear them yet because of the particular nail polishes I wanted. Nice thick brush if you like that, kind of akin to Dior a bit there, and that's going on very smoothly and prettily. That's kind of one coat on the white plastic. My idea was that these would be layered for a party look with some of those fawns in the palette. But I'm not going to layer them here and now. I'm just going to show you the glitter on its own. Fairly glitter packed, actually. That brush doesn't look good. It's got a kind of loose fibre, not very good quality. So there's the glitter one. Plenty of glitter on that. Definitely a party look. And that glitter's quite clunky, so it's going to have the inevitable problems removing. But, you know, this is a party polish, not an everyday. And I just thought those two would go together quite well. But I'll have to report back on how they last colour-wise. I mean, you could definitely get much cheaper ranges than £13.50, particularly for the glitter. So there are lots of other products in the range. There are lipsticks, mostly in the pink and pinky reds. There was quite a pretty blush. I've actually been using this with the Lancôme liquidy blush in the Sonia Rykiel L limited edition, cushion blush rather, which is really pretty. I'll be talking about that in my favourites video, which will be up soon. Yeah, so, and there's a double-ended kohl pencil, those kind of things. But I think probably the star of the show is this one. And as I say, it's a really pretty palette. It would make a nice present for somebody. The colours are inoffensive and useful, but I'm not sure it's up there as a real wow palette. So, hope that's useful, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.